One Punch Man Chapter 210 is definitely a big surprise to the community, since to be honest, I had no idea they would throw a flashback of the story of both Void and Blast, but I'm guessing we're all here for it. Don't get me wrong, we would have eventually got it, but we all expected this chapter to be the continuation or maybe even the finale of this fight. But even when we didn't have that, I strongly believe that this chapter is a really good one. Not only is this story placed perfectly and written marvelously, but the art is also completely crisp and everything about it is genuinely good. Now, the cover of this page has two characters we have yet to see alongside Void himself, seemingly all shinobi who trains and fights together. First page shows Blast in a site filled with shipping containers watching what seems to be two characters fighting, revealed just after to be Void engaging with a monster we have never seen before who's also holding one of God's cubes. He clashes with him for a brief time only to be overpowered by that monster with a lead knee kick. Remember, at this time, monsters were a rarity in the One Punch Man verse, and when a monster appears, it probably would be a very weak one, in contrast to this one who seems to be very formidable. This unknown new monster is thanking Void for the long-term activities and years of guidance, and just before he finishes him off, Blast shoots him with his dimensional cannon, erasing that monster's arm and shoulder, only to allow Void to seize that opportunity to finish him off. Blast picks up the cube and tells Void that he is very strong for being able to contend with that creature. And while Void is asking Blast what he is doing here, he notes in his mind that he has never seen a magic technique like that before, obviously referring to the dimensional cannon, and he states that it's too strong. Blast after introduces himself by saying that he is a hero who is doing these activities as a hobby, and Void replies that it's very suspicious to claim that you're a hero by yourself, since as we know, the Hero Association at that time is still not formed, as it would be launching 15 years later due to Saitama saving Aguni's grandchild. Blast after questions why this monster was calling Void Master while the monsterization is fading, revealing him to be originally a human. And the narrator, who seems to be Void in this chapter, reveals that that human was a jonin from the ninja village who was also Void's disciple. But at the same time, Void was only thinking of being suspicious of Blast, saying that maybe he should investigate him more. Something that is completely logical since shinobi are supposed to think and act this way. He was also trying to hold himself and contain his emotions only to crumble after the sight of his disciple's decapitated head, telling Blast that the identity of that monster was actually his disciple that goes by the name of Stain. He also holds his friend's head and starts crying, begging Blast to tell him what or who is this entity they call God, with his eyes fueled with hatred, and the only intention and purpose he has now is to exact revenge for his friend. Listen guys, this just gave depth to Void as a character, someone who seems to care deeply about his late disciple and isn't as cold as he seems to be. Blast begins to explain to him the whole case, and both started going on trips, exploring and searching for other cubes. This is essentially how both of them met and became partners, two strong individuals who allegedly kept fighting monsters produced by God for a long time. Now the next page shows Void sitting in a forest while Blast is sleeping in a tent. A female ninja comes out from the bushes, revealed to be Void's little sister called the Moonlight Luna. Void surprisingly assigns a mission to his little sister to approach Blast. I'm guessing to secretly collect and report information regarding these new technologies that Blast, Sitch, and other scientists are in a hold of. He mentions that he needs them to reproduce it in the village, maybe for the purpose of making it even more powerful. He also tells her that if anybody finds out, she can erase them. And personally speaking, this surprised me a lot. Seems like Void wasn't really a friend to Blast, at least at this point, and to him they were only allies that shares a common purpose. Nothing more, nothing less. Blast ends up marrying Luna, which means that Void is not only Blast's brother-in-law, but also Blue's uncle, which is actually crazy when you think about it. Luna in the wedding checks her brother's reaction only to find him clapping with a smile. And what's crazy about all of this is the simple question of, is the marriage a part of Luna and Void's plan? Or did Luna eventually fall in love with him and stopped her mission? Since she had a child with him, and if that's a part of the plan, it's kinda messed up. But that didn't matter since, as I predicted in my previous video, saying that Luna is Void's sister and that something possibly happened to her, she actually got targeted by a monster or maybe someone else and got killed. Listen guys, what I'm about to explain right now can be a little shaky because my translation isn't that perfect. But apparently, Void keeps suspecting Blast. He sees that the time Luna was killed is too convenient. Questions if he found out that she was a spy all along that was too close on attaining the information and had to eliminate her. But Void also questions himself and says that maybe he's overthinking all of this way too much. This to me is very interesting. Void at heart seems to be a good character, but ninja are raised to think this way, kinda like Killua in his initial stages. He's just conflicted on what to think and what to make of all of this. It's also sad that both his friend and his sister died and he isn't even mourning them properly the way he should have. But anyways, next page shows Blast and Void entering a very familiar site, and in the middle of it, Void seems to be blaming himself for the death of his sister and tells himself that he is a useless person. Blast after asks Void if he's okay since he seems very pale, and Void replies to Blast saying that he is the kind of a person who always worries and asks about others. And just when he was smiling, the one-eyed Buddha that was behind him began to crack, and just when it got destroyed, the cube was revealed to be inside, falling directly at the direction of Void. Blast tries to save him, but it was too late. The cube already touched Void, transferring him into the new location where he sees both his disciple and his sister. Void is really surprised and asks if they are both alive, to which they reply that they have a new mission they need to submit to. The chapter ends with the comedy relief of Saitama saying that he wanted a big cutter to cut the cardboard from the online shopping site, referring to Void's swords. But unfortunately, as he said, he doesn't have space in his house to store them. Alright, this chapter was really entertaining for me, getting to know more of Void's character and how he thinks overall. A very conflicted yet an interesting character. It's really sad to see how much he lost and seemingly always blaming himself and thinks he is the cause. Hence, that's why it was very easy for God to manipulate him, since he was already mentally weak. This chapter for me is a 9 out of 10 chapter, and until next time, please take good care.